Hi everyone, Tabs here, back with another interview. Please like and subscribe. Um, yeah, today we're gonna be talking about Transformers One. Transformers One is a 2024 film starring uh, Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry in the voices of Orion Pax, obviously Optimus Prime. Orion Pax, who would come to be known as Optimus Prime, and Megatron. But before he was Megatron, he was just called D16. This film is actually a very great film. I watched it with my nephew the other day, and what I can say is that this film at the beginning, it's kind of playful. It's kind of you don't really see where the story is going. You don't really see where the conflicts are. Um, you don't you barely even feel that divide because you only see how some of the bots are being oppressed, which is obviously Orion Pax and D16 in their worker box, and there are also other bots which are like Transformers. They're like the main dudes. They're the main guys in this society. Um, what I can say is that the film's comedy, even at the beginning, wasn't that. It didn't land every time. I was starting to get worried about it, and then all of a sudden, when they got onto a mission of fighting um, the so-called lost item, I actually forgot what it's called, the leadership, the unit of leadership, or something like that. But um, they because they when they the film only ramped up when they started looking for the mate. What? Ramped up when the film only ramped up when they had to go look for the matrix of leadership to try and restore order to what not even trying to restore order. These guys were just looking for the big break at this point, trying to become better bots than they are, trying to become more than what they are at this point in time. And of course, which D16 does not, he doesn't want to, he likes the status quo because he feels like if he works hard enough, he can make it out of the status quo, which actually comes to haunt Optimus, sorry, Orion Pax. I'm still getting used to these names. I'm just used to Optimus and Megatron. But man, what I can say is that by the time this film cranks up, I kind of feel like it stops, even though it's animation, it stopped being a kiddies film. This film, it might have had some childlike humor, you know, but this film ramped up to become so serious. Man, this is like some of the best drama that you could find. It was especially when it explored how Optimus and Megatron's relationship became what it is today, known as sworn enemies, till without any chance of redemption for either from either side, man. Megatron basically never wanted to be put in the situation he was again. This was a very excellent film in terms of that, man. I can't sing his praises enough. I watched it with my nephew, and even you know, he felt that lore. Like usually kids, or when it's these type of movies, they're always laughing at these kind of silly little jokes that they put in. But the action, the drama, the storytelling, how Optimus basically turned at the end, because that's this is what I actually really love about this film in particular, because it explores a theme of how someone can be a hero in their own story, but a villain in other people's stories. So uh, Megatron felt like he was doing the right thing, and for many people who followed Megatron, which there were a lot of people, a lot of other Transformers followed Megatron, and they saw as what they saw what he was doing as something right, because it was something that needed to be done, because they were basically living in a dictatorship, and they didn't want to ever be oppressed again. But I have to say, um, Optimus pulls it out. He becomes their savior. Um, I don't know what kind of you know thing they're gonna implement, but he probably wants like a hierarchical, a more balanced way of doing things, a less harsher way of doing things. And man, ah, like this film, it gives me flashback to so many great films which are not even animation. So yeah, man, I have to say that this film it's a very well done film, and you really have to watch it. You can absolutely watch it with your kids because Transformers is like a universally loved at this point in time. The films are universally like they're well known. So yeah, man, it's probably gonna make bank, and I can't wait to see part two because obviously there's gonna be a part two. These films they're not. It's an animation. It was cheaply made, obviously compared to how much it would have cost if it was to have been live action. But yeah, enough rambling. Although I did have some there were some plot points that didn't make sense to me. Like if these people were fighting a war, and the person who was the dictator was also kind of forced into a corner. He was kind of forced into doing what he did. Like I forgot that other race's name that basically forced him to put his people in this situation, and he kind of felt that if he didn't do that, that they would eventually lose a war. It felt like there was no consequence to that, but hey, man, that's just me. Hopefully, that gets sorted out in part two, and that it'll probably be like a buddy cop film where two guys really can't stand each other, and Optimus and Megatron have to fight this one. They have to come together to fight the one bigger evil, which is the one we saw in this film. So, yeah, man, it's a definite must watch. Watch it, check it out, like and subscribe. Yeah, thank you for joining.